Minisode 41 of Futures Radio Show, sponsored by CME Group, the world's leading and most diverse futures and options exchange. CME Group's markets help individuals and businesses around the world effectively manage risk. For access to free educational tools and resources for the active individual trader, please visit activetrader.cmegroup.com.
Every day, traders and investors dive in to tackle the ever-changing markets to find opportunity. Futures Radio Show is your number one source for answers to the questions that all market participants want to ask. Veteran futures trader Anthony Crudele sits down with the most influential leaders and top traders in the industry. Now, here's your host, Anthony Crudele.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in for this special episode with Dr. Brett Steenbarger. Remember, new shows are posted every Monday and Thursday. You can subscribe to Futures Radio Show on iTunes and on YouTube. And if you are enjoying the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. Before I play today's interview for you, I want to give a shout out to the great sponsors of Futures Radio Show: CME Group, Trading Technologies, RJO Futures, and Top Step Trader. To learn more about these sponsors and the important things they are doing for futures traders, be sure to click on their logos on our website. So this is a special episode of Futures Radio Show with Dr. Steenbarger, Clinical Associate Professor of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science. We discussed his latest project and why traders should look into attending live events such as Traders Expo Chicago on July 22nd to the 24th, where we are both hosting workshops. He gives us a teaser about the workshop he is hosting called 3 Strategies for Accelerating Your Development as a Trader. And I asked him what common elements he sees in successful traders at SMB Capital. Finally, we discussed hybrid traders. Everybody, just a heads up on my presentation at Traders Expo Chicago. It's on July 23rd from 3:30 to 4:15 Central Time. It's free, and I'll be hosting a panel of independent traders talking about trading futures for a living. Following that presentation, I'll be headed over to a happy hour hosted by Top Step Trader. The happy hour is open to all traders that want to join us. It is free, and you don't need to attend the presentation at Traders Expo. And Dr. Steenbarger's workshop is on July 24th from 8:15 to 9 a.m. Central Time. Without further ado, here's my chat with Dr. Steenbarger. Dr. Steenbarger, welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Anthony.
It's always great to speak with you. I love the blog and all the content that you put out, so it's always great to have you back on the show. And you're always actively working with traders and involved in different projects, so can you fill us in with what you're up to these days?
Well, I am keeping pretty busy. I work with traders in different financial organizations, some of them at hedge funds, some of them proprietary traders. And that's exciting. You get to see what creates success in different types of trading and different types of settings. And I'm writing a new book, so I got enough to keep me busy.
Oh, wow. I'm looking forward to your new book. Anything you want to tell us that it's going to be about?
Well, it's about spirituality and how that relates to peak performance, how that relates to trading and trading success. And so it's a completely different topic from any that I've addressed to this point, and I think should be pretty interesting.
Excellent. Looking forward to that. Now, we're on today for actually a special episode because Traders Expo Chicago is coming up, and I'm actually so glad to see that it's coming to my hometown, Chicago. I think that the industry is really looking forward to having Traders Expo there. And I attend these events because I like to interact with traders in person. You can't always be talking on Twitter. I believe in speaking with traders in person is much, much better. I think you get a lot more out of the conversations. And I've said this many a times before. Trading and markets is a people business. So it's always good to be interacting with traders, especially at these live events. So I'm curious, why do you go to the live events? Because all of these events, I pretty much see you attending and you're always hosting something there. What are the reasons that you think it's important to attend and for traders to be attending these expos?
Yeah, great question. I agree with you about the people business. It's such an opportunity to network, to meet people who are doing interesting things, to meet people who are interested in learning, they're growing, they're developing. And if you can build a personal trading network, meet the right people, it so expands your horizons. And so that's a big reason why I come to these events, because I end up meeting people and it expands what I do and what I think about. The other reason, though, that I come is that it's a very concrete way to give back. I don't recruit for any business. I'm not trying to get people to buy anything from me. I'm not trying to sell coaching services. I don't work with individual traders. I work with institutions. So it's a way to give back to people who are learning and who are at a phase in their trading that I remember very well from my past.
Do you feel that you're learning just as much as you're teaching when you're at these live events?
Yeah. Teaching is a form of learning. I happen to be on the faculty of a medical school, and so I teach medical students, residents in psychiatry and behavioral sciences, and it forces you to really understand what you're presenting, and it pushes you to present new things, different things, and so in the course of that, inevitably, you learn.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing about these expos that I want to talk to you about, because I think that a lot of traders go there and they're fed a ton of information. And me personally, I think when you're learning too much, when there's too many things that are being fed to you, it ends up becoming worthless, because I just believe that anything you learn, you want to be able to apply. If you're not applying it, then you're really not learning anything. So the one question I wanted to talk to you about today was how you think traders can best prepare themselves for the content that's going to be presented.
It's so important, Anthony. What I see at many of these kinds of events is that people go to the sessions, they sit in their chair and they listen, and then they leave, and then they go to the next session and they sit and they listen and they leave. And so they approach it with a relatively passive mindset. I would encourage your listeners to do exactly the opposite, to identify in advance, what do you want to learn from these speakers? What are your goals for attending? How do you want this to make you a better trader, maybe even a better person? But to really think through what you want to learn and start to formulate questions that you want to ask of the presenters to make sure you'll learn what you want to learn and accomplish. And then all of a sudden it becomes an active learning experience, and you're more likely to come away with something meaningful.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you need to go there with the mindset that you're going to focus on maybe a few things specifically, and try to take that information that you learn from these traders and then apply it to your trading. To me, that's the way you have to approach it. Otherwise, like we said, you're going to be overwhelmed. Now, I want to talk specifically about what you're going to be speaking about at Traders Expo Chicago, because you're a big draw at these expos. I know a lot of traders, a lot of veteran traders and new traders are always looking to attend your sessions. And I have a few things that you're going to be talking about. So I know you're not going to give us everything because you're saving it for the live presentation. But if you could just talk to us about the topics I'm going to go over and explain to us what you're going to be discussing and why it's important. And that first topic is maximizing trading processes for creativity to identify and adapt to changing market conditions.
It's so important. It's something I wrote about in my most recent book, and it's something I actively work with traders on. Markets are always changing. I mean, we see that recently just in the stock market. We've had some periods of volatility. We've had some periods of low volatility. We've had some periods of trending, some choppy periods. And you need to be open-minded. You need to be flexible. And there are psychological techniques that can help us be more open-minded, more flexible, so that we can follow what the market's doing rather than get caught up into trying to predict and anticipate and fall behind what the market's actually doing.
All right, the next topic you're going to be discussing is maximizing positive emotional experience as a way of deepening our processing of market information.
Yeah, it turns out there's a ton of research on positive psychology and how positive emotional experience literally broadens our perception. We see the world in broader terms and we build skills better when we have a high degree of positive emotional experience. And that includes positive experience during our trading, but also positive experience during our lives outside of markets. And so we can create processes to maximize our happiness, our fulfillment, the energy we get out of things, our relationships. We can make ourselves positivity machines.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the show so far, but I want to pause and thank one of our sponsors, Trading Technologies. I started using TT in the year 2000, and I love it. It is by far the best trading platform I have ever used, and I've tried a lot of them. With TT, you can trade the global markets from virtually anywhere in the world. They are the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform. I highly suggest you go try out TT, especially because you can try it for free. Just go to tryttnow.com and set up your account. All right, last topic that you're going to be covering is maximizing collaboration, teamwork, mentoring to accelerate the learning development process.
Yes, and we're back to that idea of trading being a people business, right? And so what I'm seeing in working with traders is that the ones who develop most quickly and the ones who are most successful are learning from and with other people. How do we build our networks so that we can learn from each other and accelerate our development?
Yeah, great stuff. I think that everyone, if you're going to be at Traders Expo Chicago, I have attended Dr. Steenbarger's events before. He's the best. So definitely recommend going out there and listening to what Dr. Steenbarger has to say. Now, Dr. Steenbarger, before I let you go, Mike Bellafiore was supposed to be with us here today. Unfortunately, he could not. And I'm really upset about that because he was actually going to share with me some hair products that he thinks that I should be using, and everyone out there knows how important.
There you go.
And we missed that, Mike. I'm sorry. I wish you were here, but a shout out to Mike Bellafiore, and everyone should go and attend his session as well. Mike's phenomenal. We're actually going to do a show, I think, with you, Dr. Steenbarger, and Mike this fall or winter.
Oh, very cool.
We're gonna get you guys back together. But I was gonna ask the two of you this question, and like I said, since Mike is not here, I'm just gonna ask you. You work with Mike Bellafiore and the traders on his desk. What common elements do you see in his best traders?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we do work together with the developing traders at SMB. And there are a couple of things that have really stood out in the ones who are most successful. The first is the team structure. Again, it's people learning from other people. So there are team leaders. There are people who are developing, who are learning from each other, sharing ideas, reviewing their day's trading together. And so you get so many more inputs that way, and you learn so much quicker when you have those inputs. So that's one thing I've seen dramatically. The other thing is what we call hybrid trading, combining quantitative methods with discretionary trading. And so many of the traders are developing back-tested models and using those for signals to help confirm their discretionary ideas. And so it's called a man-machine approach, and it makes our decision-making so much broader, so much stronger. Those two things I've seen in spades working with Mike. I'm sure he's going to be talking about it in his presentation, and I'm sure it's going to be a great presentation.
You know, hearing you say that about hybrid traders, I mean, that's what I've been calling myself for years. And I've had actually a lot of back and forth with traders disagreeing with me that you're systematic or you're discretionary. And although I'm not doing it exactly the way that you explained using quantitative methods with discretionary, what I have done and we'll have you comment on what you think about what I've been doing over the past several years, is I have taken my strategy, and what I did was I automated it to give me signals. So this way I am not actively trading until I get the signal. So I wait for the automation to pop out a signal for me, and then I decide whether to trade it small, big, or not at all. And I have felt that that's really helped me because I was an over trader. I mean, I was basically, I've always said this, I'm like a market maker. I traded order flow. I've had to take that back over the last handful of years and I feel like have a better hand in the market. So I'm curious what you think about what I'm doing with my approach to being a hybrid trader.
Yeah, Anthony, this is a great example of being creative. What you're doing is you're automating your signal, and then you're using your judgment and your experience as a trader to help you implement that signal, both with respect to the entry execution and with respect to sizing and probably managing the position over the life of it. And so it's a way for you to automate getting involved, but how you get involved is based on your feel as a trader. That's a great synthesis of the intuitive and discretionary with the more systematic.
It's so great hearing you say that, because I believe that execution is everything. And I've said to a lot of people that if you think that your strategy is so good and it doesn't need a discretionary approach, then just automate it. And I believe that I am a better executor of my strategy than the automation. I believe that I could pull more out of it because of my experience. So that's just my 2 cents there.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that's a really creative way to blend those elements.
Dr. Steenbarger, thank you so much for speaking with me today. Where can people find you on Twitter? Give us a website and also the day and times of your presentation at Traders Expo Chicago.
That sounds good. So on Twitter, I'm at Steenbab, Steenbab. That's my Twitter handle. And the website is my blog, Trader Feed. That's TraderFeed, traderfeed.blogspot.com. And I'll be presenting on Tuesday, July 24th, and that's from 8:15 to 9 a.m. in the morning. So I hope people will get up early, won't be too hungover, and it can be part of the session.
Well, everybody, you know where I stand. I highly recommend you follow Dr. Steenbarger on Twitter, and you have to check out his blog and his presentation at Traders Expo Chicago. Dr. Steenbarger, thank you so much again for coming on Futures Radio Show.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for myself or my guests, please visit futuresradioshow.com and sign up to be a premium member for free. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes.